Welcome back to the Appalachian Outfeed. So we are about 6 weeks post Helene, and that storm ended up reinforcing something I was already thinking about. If you look over my head here, and I'm going to apologize for the lighting, the sun's coming right across my back and there's really nothing I can do about it. So get to talk to you from the shadows. Anyway, if you look over my head here, back in the background, you'll see that side hill up there, and that is our property, and it overlooks the house and the rest of the property. And the problem is that that hill also, my shop sits right up against that hill, and that thing is covered in pine trees. Now, that might not strike you as a problem, but when you get to living with them for a little while, you realize this is not a good thing. So there's a couple things about these pine trees. So first of all, that shop is never in the sunshine, which means in the wintertime, it is like an ice box in there. It's a slab floor, concrete block construction, and you cannot warm that thing up in the wintertime for anything in the world because it's always in the shade. So that's issue number one. But the real issue is how weak those pine trees are. And Helene really emphasized that. It tore the, it didn't tear the top out of one, it tore a half of a codominant leader out of one pine tree, big, huge leader. And we'll look at that in a little bit. And I think it pushed another tree over into the top of another one. And in fact, I think it's the one that the leader broke off of, and that's a pretty big tree itself. So we got 2 trees in there that have failed or are failing, and I'm just looking at all these pine trees. They're only going to get bigger, and eventually they're all coming down one way or another. And so my thought is I need to go ahead and get ahead of the game and get these things down before they get any bigger and come through the top of the shop. So that is going to be the wintertime project. We won't be getting into all that today, but what we will do today is take down the first tree. I've got to take them down in a certain order, and again, we'll get up in there and look at it. This is going to be a mess because they are limb locked up top. I've got the shop that I can't obviously hit, and I'm working on a pretty steep hill, and it gets really steep in certain areas. So this is going to be tricky, and it's just going to be my winter project, I think, is the way it's going to play out. One of the things I haven't figured out is what I'm doing with all this wood that I'm taking down. It's a lot of board feet of wood. Now, some of these trees aren't very big at all, but some of them are pretty good size, and those are the ones actually I'm worried about. But if I can find somebody that wants this pine to mill down, or I don't care what they do with it, save me from burning it, but that's what's going to end up happening. If I can't find somebody to give this stuff to, I'm just going to end up having to burn this stuff over time. So I'd really rather not waste all this wood. So we're going to get over there, and I'll get you up in the woods so you can see what we're really talking about. And then we'll get to it, and we'll get this other tree on the ground, the first one. Actually, it's not the first one. I got in there and started cutting some smaller stuff down, smaller and dead stuff, just trying to open things up a little bit. And I succeeded in really just making a great big mess. You will note, I think all winter long as we go through this, I'm going to be cutting pretty high stumps, and that's for 2 reasons. On the lower side of the hill, I'm leaving the high stump so that these big trees I got to cut further up the hill can't slide or roll down into the shop and hit it, so the stumps should help mitigate anything coming down the hill. And also, because of the limb-lock nature of a lot of this stuff, I think I'm going to end up putting a line in a couple of these big trees. In fact, I know I'm going to. Whether or not I could probably wedge them over is not the issue. The issue is I can't have these trees fall on the shop. That defeats the whole purpose of taking them down to start with. So there's at least a few that we're going to be putting lines into, and having high stumps will give us something to connect a block to, or just pull straight to with the come along. So that's the plan as it sits right now, although I've already found that my plan has changed 2 or 3 times since this whole notion first started. Anyway, let's get you over there and let's get up in the woods. Okay, so here we are up on the hill in the midst of all these pines, and you can see this is one that came down during Helene, and my goodness, what a crash it made when it came down. And that's what it came from. So this is it's not a codominant tree, but that's a big leader that came off this pine tree, and this thing is a hoss. So I'm standing on it about halfway up. So it's you know, it's 12, 16 inches around across at the base. But yeah, that's a pretty big one. Daggone dogs followed me up here. But you can see we're just covered up in pines. There's another big one right there, and another one I'm concerned about right there. I mean, these things go way up, and boop, there's the shop. And I don't know, yeah, you can tell the angle. They're just right on top of the shop. So when those things go, it's gonna be bad. And we're just covered up with these things, and they're just so weak. Goes a hawk over the top. They're just so weak that like I say, they're gonna come down one way or another, and I'd rather try to go ahead and get them down. There's another big one right there. There's a big boy. So we'll end up putting ropes in that one there, that one there, this one, and this one for sure, and probably some others as well, because again, we are directly above the shop, and the whole idea is to try to keep these things off the shop. And you got a bunch of little ones in here too, and not really looking forward to dealing with those. Those things end up being harder to cut than the big ones, because you ain't got a place to put a wedge. They just kind of go where they want. Got one more to show you over here. We can get up this hill. Got that big chunky monkey there with the 2 leaders coming off the trunk there. That is a sentinel tree. That's probably one of the trees that a lot of these trees came from to start with back here. Most of this stuff is not very old, and I think what I'm figuring out is most of these trees were allowed to grow up here by the guy, one owner back, and I don't think any of this was here, or most of this was not here when the shop was built. I think this was a bare hillside when the shop was built. Here's a deer trail. I'll show you something with that in a second, but it runs right through there. But there's another one. This is the one that's hung up in the tree. Boop. I think I'm going to be able to cut this little one right here and hopefully get a rope up in that thing and maybe pull it this way. Looking at the trunk, it doesn't look like it has failed. It looks like it's just blown over at the roots. But yeah, man, I don't know if this is coming across on camera, but these are some pretty good sized trees. They're probably, they're a bit of 100 feet tall, maybe 150. I don't know. But we're not going to get one of these today. We're going to go get a shorter tree. We'll walk out here on the deer trail and talk about the one we're going to get today. Just for added bonus. Let you see what we got going on here. What a great big old pile of deer poop. Oh, I missed it. Anyway, that right there is a deer scrape. The wind's been blowing today, and so we got leaves dropping like rain, but covered it up. So, oh, there we go. Nice fresh deer droppings. Anyway, so look at all that. I mean, so all those pine trees in there, that's what we want gone. And I want to come back in here probably next fall and replant with some kind of hardwood. Probably some mix of locust, oak, and maybe, I don't know about maples or not. I don't know. If anybody has any suggestions for good hardwood trees in Southwest Virginia, put them in a comment below. Just thought I'd share with you guys. This is the view from the side hill where we're going to do this cutting. You can see a pretty good ways over there. That's pretty cool. All right, but here's our intended victim right here. Pretty chunky boy, not terribly tall, kind of more stubby than anything, kind of a fire plug of a tree, but it didn't help anything. In fact, it shades this cherry tree right here, so it doesn't hardly, I'm sorry, apple tree, so it doesn't hardly get any sun and barely puts out any fruit. So maybe if we take this thing down, we'll get some more sun on this thing and start working our way back into those pines. I'm probably gonna go take that other little scrubby thing down right there too while we got the saw out. Yeah, just gonna get this thing on the ground and get it cut up and get it ready for the burn pile. By the way, if anybody wants to know, we are running a 500i 28-inch standard bar with a full chisel round file chain, full comp. Got her warmed up a little bit, and we got custom earplugs too. Lost my other pair. Oh, there they are right there. Good gracious. All right, here we go. Get you guys rearranged here. Forgot about this big old limb over here we got to get off. This thing's as big as some trees. And I kind of feel like if I don't take this thing off, it's gonna, the tree's gonna fall kind of wonky. Wouldn't want that. Seeing all these pine needles blowing down. we go. I think that'll hold you guys. But yeah, this big old leader right there. Taking these other ones down, so I can get up in there and cut on this thing, but also so these limbs that are sticking out so far and low don't preclude this thing from coming off the stump the way it should. Got a lot of low limbs. Okay, so we got her cleaned up and I lopped a couple more limbs off. I'm a little concerned about this thing getting tied up in that locust right there, but there is absolutely nothing I can do about that. What we're going to go for is a shallow but tall, wide face cut, because this thing's coming down such a hill. I would like it if it would stay on the hinge, stay on the stump all the way down, if you know what I mean. The other thing we got working at us is the wind, which has just picked up. But we've got 2 big leaders still on here that I can't get to. I think we've got enough weight out front of this thing. It's going to go regardless of what the wind does. So I'm not too worried about that. If anything, the leader's going to carry it opposite the camera a little bit. We'll see how that goes. So here we go. We're going to see how my face cut goes. I'm sure it'll be great. Alright, so that looked like it went pretty good, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that face cut's deep enough. I may need to, I'm going to come back just a little bit, deepen that thing up. My problem is when I start trying to get deep, I end up usually overshooting. But at least I got plenty of tree to work with. Let's see how it goes. Pine needles do not make for great footing. I'm going to declare this one Dutchman free. I'm going to come out here and snipe that bottom off a little bit, get a little bit more closure on it, open that face cut up some. Pretty happy with that though. Ugh. Stickers. So yeah, that's about what we're looking at. I will say, I am sure that Husqvarna and Steel are checking my videos out multiple times after they're posted to get the pro tips on what they need to be doing. But how about this, guys? You offer these half wrap handles and full wrap handles. How about offering some felon dogs that actually work? This isn't the thickest bark in the world, but I could not get those dogs to bite in. That's kind of a shame. All right, enough about that. Let's get this thing finished up. All right, let's see if we can find a place to put you guys where you don't get smacked. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna look downhill instead of uphill. Wow. So I could tell that dude was going before I even put the wedge in. I just decided to do that in an abundance of caution. Looks like it wasn't needed. I did think that thing was so heavy it was going to go, and it did. I'm pretty happy with that. Here's the stump so y'all can judge me. I was wondering how much holding wood this thing would need, being pine and weak and all that. And look at that, man. That I mean, that's probably a little bit more narrow on this side. That's probably, I don't know, 2.5 inches of whole wood and 4.5 on that side. And that sucker went. It was going when I was making the cut way back here. So pretty happy with that. So unlike deer, this thing looked bigger before it got on the ground. And now I've got a mess to deal with. It is interesting, it did take the top of that locust tree out right there. Heard that thing go. Huh. Well, now we got a view up the hill, which is going to be great. Look out the kitchen window. Daggum. It's going to be a lot of lemon. All right, well, let's get on the lemon. It's probably less fun than what it looks like. I think that's called work.